everybody. Another installment. Good and stupid. I'm here with. We were supposed to have some people. Last week was crazy, and we had to take a break. We had hurricanes and disaster and all kinds of stuff. And Jason had to lean into his other place of business.
But we're back. We are back, though, baby. Nothing's stopping us.
With a vengeance, as they say. All right, so it's like I said. We all said it's been a little crazy this week, and I don't even know where to begin to start. Other than it looks like Florida, and well, I guess we could start with what's going down in California, and then move that into our discussion.
Elections, right? Today's the big elections in California.
Yeah, the recall in California because the people in California were kind of unhappy with. Well, I guess the Republican Party in California saw a chance to replace the governor,
right?
Like they did back in the 90s with Arnold Schwarzenegger, or the late 2000s or the early 2000s with Arnold Schwarzenegger. The problem was Arnold Schwarzenegger was a moderate for the Republican Party. He was a Republican, but he was a moderate, and because he was a moderate, he still had a lot of what Californians considered important stuff, and he was able to transition into a successful governor, right? Because he was a moderate.
Right.
But the guy who's running against the current incumbent governor there is crazy pants, nutty Trumper, and that's the problem. The Republicans want these people to vote for them, but they put up these fucking guys who are nuts. Larry, what's his name? Larry Storch? No.
Larry Elder.
Larry Elder is a radio host, and he's dumb as fuck.
Right.
He knows nothing about anything. He's worse than you would imagine. And because he knows he's going to lose, I swear to God, folks, I'm not making this up. He already has a website that says that the vote was wrong. It was a lie. They were lying. Somebody cheated. And to your point, Jason,
we're by recording this, we're still 5 hours before the polls close.
I know he could easily win. He could easily win. I don't think he will. Here it is. Larry Elder prepares for California recall losses with lawyers and voter fraud website. I think what we're beginning to do is we're doing this thing where Republicans are known to cry wolf about this now, because if Donald Trump can do it, we can do it. And it turns into this situation where who do you believe? And the thing is that most Republicans believe that to be a Republican, you have to believe that Donald Trump lost the election, whether you believe it or not. You have to say that you lost the election, because that's the whole part of the schoolyard bulliness of the Republican Party. There needs to be this thing where whether you agree or disagree, we're still going to do what we're going to do, and you're going to let us do it, which is great. Might be okay on road trips. It doesn't work anywhere else. It certainly doesn't work in government.
That's the thing with this. Forget about the Trump factor. Forget about Democrat, Republican when it comes to this. These ideas of recalls to me are they're insane to the way the rules are in California when it comes to this, first of all. But in general, when you vote for somebody, you vote for them for a certain amount of time. And unless these people are doing something, illegal, I'm trying to say, stealing funds or doing something where they have to be impeached in some capacity, whether you like the person or not, you let them finish their term and then you vote them out. That's how the process goes. But we're not even getting to that anymore. We're getting to the point where people just don't like somebody for whatever reason, and we're just coming after them by looking for ways to do recalls, for example.
I'm actually okay with recall elections. Okay.
You
get enough.
Why is that?
What happened in California? What happened in California is recall is they have to get something like 200,000 signatures to recall the governor. Right. Something like that. Something very high. And because Republicans are organized,
but that's not a lot. I was gonna say that's not a lot when you consider when somebody wants to
come
out,
California is. Yeah.
They can get a lot of people to sign with $200,000. If somebody wants you, for whatever reason, they can organize and get $100,000 in a blink of an eye. Let's be honest. This isn't 1905 where you have to go door to door. I'm trying to say? It doesn't work that way.
That's to your point. To your point, I would think that you would need more signatures. But you need a large amount of signatures, what's considered a large amount of signatures in political circles to get this thing off the ground. And they got it. That's one. Two.
Right.
There's a lot of people who want this governor gone. And there's a lot of special interests who don't like this guy. And there's a lot of small business owners who felt that he was being unfair with the way he handled COVID. And so far,
and I agree with you being upset with him. I agree with you having challenging the ideas. I'm just saying if you're somebody who doesn't like him because you had a small business, I get all that. But when somebody is voted, and I said the same thing with Trump, like whether you like Trump or not, we voted for him for 4 years. Now, if you want to impeach him because of some kind of situation that developed that merits impeachment, that's a different story. But the idea that like you don't like a policy and then you find ways to impeach him, that's to me that's not what politics is supposed to be, right? We have these people for a certain amount of time so they can perform certain duties, and then if they don't perform the duties as you see fit in those 4 years or 6 years as governor, then you vote them out. See what I'm saying?
I mean,
unless they're doing something illegal.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Okay, I understand what you're saying. It completely makes sense. Unfortunately, there's a lot of reasons. I kind of feel like, look, governors, unpopular governors do this. They run until they're out of office, like you said. They resign, such as Governor Cuomo, because he liked to reach up under people's dresses and grab their breasts. Again, master move if it was consensual, but not consensual, kind of a creepy shit. That being said.
And he should have been. If he didn't quit, he should have been impeached for. Let's just be honest, right? There should have been a process, but that's a little different than policy's decision going wrong. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Look. Larry Elder wants to be governor of California. He obviously is not going to be governor of California. Supposedly there's been a groundswell of Democrats. And Republicans are ambling to the polls. I don't think they're running to the polls to fucking vote for Larry Elder, unless they're his fans. And he's a dumbass anyway. And I don't say, look, I know that people say, well, you're not really arguing for, something or another. You're kind of putting, it's a little bit too bright in here. You're kind of putting, you're attacking Larry Elder for being Larry Elder and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you can't just name people names because that's not really an argument. I get it. Sure. Yes to all those things. Now that being said, the guy's a dumbass. Don't listen. Look at his platform. He's dumb. He's another Republican idiot who doesn't know what he's talking about. And the ongoing issues is this: Republicans don't like science. They love to legislate against the persons they should be legislating for. In other words, women's and minorities. And when I say legislating for, I'm saying everybody. It shouldn't just be like, well, Christian women and older white men really don't want you to get an abortion, so we're going to fight for that. It's like, get the fuck out of here. So there's that kind of a thing. And then guys into this idea of morality, or better yet, freedom. Freedom. Like again, that whole thing about freedom to, freedom from.
Right.
It's a great argument. I have the freedom to be, not to get COVID. You have the freedom to go kill yourself as far as you want. As a matter of fact, just take a gun and shoot yourself. I don't care. But don't submit me to your bullshit of not wanting to wear a mask. You know what I'm saying? I was at a Foo Fighters concert yesterday. Right?
Oh, the one in Point
Everybody there had a vaccination card. Everybody there could not come into the place without a vaccination card or a vaccination passport. And because the Foo Fighters were like, fuck you gotta bring your vaccination passport, you can't come to the show. And I wore a mask most of the time I was there. Why? Because, first of all, I'm vaccinated. Everybody there is vaccinated. Doesn't mean we're not carrying shit. I'm wearing a mask. That's it.
Right. No, I hear you.
Are the chances lower? Yes. Do I want it anyway? No. I'm 53 years old. I'll be 54 at the end of the month. At the beginning of next month. And I have high blood pressure. So if I get something like this, it might not go my way. Even with the vaccination, as we know, there are breakthrough infections. 1 in every 5,000 people can get a breakthrough infection. That's a problem. A breakthrough infection might get you sick, like Joe Rogan, and you lay in your bed for a little while and you're fine.
We got to talk about that one. I listened to the podcast.
We haven't got to the COVID part. We haven't done it. All right, so so there's that. It might go really badly for me because of my chemical situation, or I don't know. I don't know. Can't look in the future. Can't figure it out. Can't test my genetic makeup to figure out what's gonna happen. I don't. Not only that, I don't want to fuck with that. I'd rather just get another shot. I'm getting another shot right now. I can go get another shot right now. So I'm probably gonna do that.
Right.
You know. Why? Why not? Why not? The fuck.
On that note, before we continue, was the Foo Fighter concert good? I want to know. I'm thinking. I'm just asking because like pre and post COVID, like, you know, was the vibe the same? Was the feel the same? Was it, you know, was it the same feel you would get before COVID? Just out of curiosity.
This was one of the first bands that went on the road.
Right.
They opened up Madison Square Garden in March.
Yes.
I think, or April. And I would tell you, this was a rock and roll concert. Straight up, 100%.
Okay.
5,000 people were in the stands because we saw it at the Ford Amphitheater in
Coney Island.
Coney Island.
Yeah.
And you know, it was crazy as fuck.
It's an open air, right? It's an open air amphitheater.
No,
right?
It's not. It's not.
No, it's not.
I guess it can be, but not for the Foo Fighters. It was under a tent, and it was cool, man. It was really good. It was a great concert. They were great. I posted some stuff on Facebook. If you follow me on Facebook, folks, it's that a Jesus Reyes. If you want to become my friend, I don't know. It's that Jesus Reyes on Facebook. If you put that on Facebook, you get me. So that's it. It's no big deal. I don't know if it was much more rockin'. I don't. First of all, I don't go to too many concerts. When I do, they're specific and specialized. I went to the Res concert back in July because I was planning on going anyway. Like, you know, I was going to go anyway, so I might as well go. I didn't know, as a matter of fact, speaking of concerts, there was an EDM music festival Labor Day weekend, and I, for some reason, thought it was one day, and I didn't know, like, some of the people that I really like following EDM were going to be there, really. I wasn't really paying attention.
Right.
I didn't really have anybody.
He's a busy man. He's a busy man posting and
I really didn't have
going
anybody
after
to go with. So if I did go, I was probably going to go one day, and that's like it was $100, and then I was like, forget it. Meanwhile, when I found out about it, it was the fucking greatest thing anybody saw. It was fantastic. People were writing their mothers about it, tearing their clothes, lashing their teeth. So next time, I guess I should know better and make sure to get a ticket for this thing on the night that I want to go, unless I want to buy $300 worth of ticket, which is like, take it easy. So do I think that concerts in general are back? Well, Broadway opens this weekend, right?
Yes, they do. That's where I was going. Now things are starting to open up more and more around the country. Yeah. You know, I'm trying to see the feel of it, you know, like when it comes to these type of things, if there's any kind of like infighting in the crowds or, you know, what's the vibe?
Infighting. The thing is that
everything.
The thing is that the law in New York for concerts and theaters is you have to bring a vaccination card. There is no ifs, ands, or buts.
Right.
If you don't have one, they can't let you in. You know, proof of vaccination. That being said, a lot of people go in there a little bit more comfortable. People, when I saw another show earlier in the summer, and it was great. I'm not gonna tell you what it was. Bruce Springsteen. But I was at a theater. And it was a theater on Broadway, and I went to the theater, and I sat in my seat, and everyone around me was vaccinated. Did I wear a mask to get to the theater? No. Did I wear a mask on the subway? Fuck yes. You know what I'm saying? Did I wear a mask outside?
Right.
No. Didn't wear a mask outside because we're open air. If this was happening now, after fucking Delta variant has infected, what was it, like 3,000 people last month in New York? Something like that. 24. There was a lot of people who were infected last month with Delta variant.
Yes, it's causing havoc now, people.
It was high, but how many deaths? Not many. You know what I mean?
Right.
Along the people who were vaccinated, because there were breakthrough infections, but no one's from the vaccinated side. Very few people are dying, which is good, right?
Yeah. I mean, nobody said it was 100% effective. The vaccine, it's designed not to get.
Somebody
you
said it was. I
sick.
think what they were saying was it was to the current strains that were out, it was 93% effective, 97% effective, and I think the Johnson & Johnson one was 90%. It
was like, yeah.
And there's been more since that are just as. There's one that's like 100% effective against the strains that they tested against. I was like, holy shit. So, Should we get boosters? As we know from the Israeli study that's been happening, people, the longer you have the vaccine, the less it does well against other strains of this virus. So, like the flu is regenerated every year. The flu vaccine is regenerated every year against the most popular expected viral attack. So,
right.
What do I hope for? I pray that the people around me will get boosters. I hope and I pray that people will go back to wearing masks. Not in Florida, of course. The fuck out of here. And now we can talk about, since we were talking about that, and we're talking about COVID anyway, and we don't have a thing to say COVID anything. We could say the following.
Right.
And you could jump in. Last week, the president said, mandates, OSHA, get on it. And then walked away. And of course, Republicans lost their shit because, hoo, 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 I don't want to get shot. Hoo, 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 hoo. And to that point, you have to just ask yourself, what the fuck's going on? It's a business. It's a business. A business should be allowed, first of all, business should be allowed to do whatever they want. In Florida today, the governor said, well, if you are a business and you try to stop anybody from working and follow any of the government's mandates, we're going to charge you $5,000 a person. And I was like, you can't do that. You can't charge someone $5,000 a person by following the government's safety regulations. You're fucking out of your mind. So I want to see what happens with that. He's just such a fucking punk. The thing about DeSantis that I can't stand, he's a fucking punk. He's a punk. Don't Fauci my Florida. Meanwhile, how many people have died? He's losing, like, kids are getting infected, moms, dads, small children, bugs are leaving Florida. And if he thinks that he's gonna let Disney or any other big businesses out in Florida let him get away with it, he's out of his mind. He's out of his fucking mind. So I'm waiting for
that
next legal thing on that.
On that note, I have to give a shout out, and I'm looking at the article right now, to Chris Wallace from Fox News. Did you hear about the Nebraska governor interview he had?
Oh yeah.
What about
rubella? What about the measles? What about? Right. And he's like, but it's not the same thing. I'm like, fuck you! It's exactly the same thing.
But this is why I'm giving him a shout out, right? This is why I appreciate his style, because journalism should be, right? Forget about or anything like that. Journalism should be about the facts, and there should be a theme when you're asking questions. There's a reason why your journalist is asking a question, right? So when he asked these questions to the governor, he had graphics to support what he was saying, so that the audience can understand what's going on. But he's also giving backup questions. The governor made a response, and he's asking a second question, which is unheard of now in media these days. You just kind of ask a question, whoever it is makes an answer, and they just kind of move on to another subject. But the idea of in-depth journalism, of trying to figure out the root of what people are thinking, is to ask backup questions. Let the person respond, and you ask another question. And I give him credit because this is what he was doing in this interview. So you see people spinning and turning because they're not sure how to answer these backup questions. They're not sure how to respond to these questions because A, they're not used to it, and B, they're not prepared for it because people are just using talking points these days. So when you do get a backup question, you basically just kind of deflect by going into another subject, which is what the governor is doing. And if we want to get back to understanding why journalism needs to go in a certain direction, it's to go with the basics. And these are basics. And once you do the basics of journalism, like what he did, you get the real answer. And you got real answers from this guy. Just like you're saying, oh, this is different than polio. He goes, but the point is what Chris Wallace was trying to say was like, when we got the polio vaccine, people jumped on and got the vaccine. There was no political, stripe about this. So why is this becoming politicized? And he couldn't answer the political reason for it.
Because they have a population of stupid motherfuckers. I can't. Who follow Trump. Meanwhile, Trump yesterday in an interview said, I got vaccinated. It makes all kinds of sense. This is after the fact that he wouldn't get vaccinated. Remember, he fought the vaccination. Wouldn't wear a mask.
Right.
He ended up getting sick, and then he was like, oh shit. And they basically said, you got to get vaccinated. Trump's been very uneven the last few weeks. what I see. But yeah, I mean, if Trump's getting vaccinated, why aren't you? I don't. That's personal choice. No, it really isn't. It starts to become a health concern for everyone around you. And family member
Hence how
who
it starts
remained
flipping out on
nameless.
people.
Family member who remained nameless. I thought we were having an actual discussion about this and how it works, right? About vaccination.
Right.
But no, what was actually happening was he was trying to push an agenda, which is what seems to happen with people who are conservatives when it comes to discussions, or libertarians, which is they ask you questions to set you up and then decide to then basically say, see, that's what I'm saying. That's not how it works, folks. I try to tell people who argue with me, and Jason would know.
Right.
You're arguing with me, trying to convince me of something, it's not going to happen. Why? Because I'm already hearing where you're coming from. You're not giving me anything that's going to change my mind. I'm not hearing you say, here's the facts. I'm hearing you say, I did some research by watching stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, that might work with motorcycles, but it doesn't work with fucking science and vaccines.
Right. That may work with fixing your car.
Right. You want to research how to fix your fucking car on YouTube? Fucking do that. You want to figure out how to frame something? Great place to do it. Vaccines and science? No, because half the people there are fucking don't know what they're talking about, and they'll tell you to fucking burn a candle or some shit. Which is what I've actually seen that. Drink this and burn a candle, and you'll be fine. It's like it doesn't. That's not how it works. You know, essential oils is not going to stop you from fucking getting COVID.
Now, agua florida, maybe. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
We used to cure everything when we were kids.
Yeah. Vicks Vaporub.
Yeah, exactly.
We can laugh about that shit, but it's absolutely true.
As kids, we were given all sorts of concoctions to try to get us through things.
Vicks Vaporub. So there's that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to.
Now, let me ask you this question: the people that are trying to do this, and I know the conversation you're talking about without naming names. The people trying to do this, do you think they're because they feel that they can get one over on you? Because what do you think their point of doing it is? Because after a while, to come at you, then I agree. Then we're having fruitless conversations, right? We're just going in circles. We're just wagging.
Right. So what do I think?
So if they're not using the facts, then what do you think they're trying to accomplish at that? That make you feel bad? Like
because
that's what I'm trying
because I'm telling you why. All right. So, the idea. This is what I think. The whole idea. This is also about Texas. The idea of conservatives' new plan under Trump is, hey, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. I'm a white person. What you're doing to me is unfair because I should be able to do whatever I want because I'm a white person, right? Cops have to kill black people. Sometimes black people get killed. Can't be helped. They kill white people too, and it's like that's not good. That's not a good thing that they kill white people too. Remember when Trump said that? They kill white people too. It's like how that's not cool. No one should be dying and under police custody, right? That's right. So it's that idea of I'm a victim. I need special dispensation because of my ideals and also freedom. That's the other thing. The idea of freedom.
Before you go to the freedom part, the victimhood. When I find interesting that if you believe in that point, because when we were growing up, that was never an option. You know what I'm trying to say? We were always told you got to work hard, go to school, go to
You're responsible for yourself. You're responsible for
do what you need to do to get ahead, whatever that
consequences of your actions.
As long as you follow the rules.
Yep.
Right.
Consequences of your actions.
So if you think that's one of them, that's an interesting term because that wasn't what the country was about even 20 years ago.
Anything that happens is something that's happening to me. Right? This is happening to me. This is unfair because it's happening to me. Not, I want to take a look at something or whatever. No, not, hey, I'm responsible for my own actions. No. What's happening to me right now is unfair. Because you're telling me I got to get a shot. And therefore, that's unfair to me. So, and they have people like Joe Rogan, who's a fucking complete idiot. Another fucking idiot. Holy crap! This asshole.
No, you didn't listen to the podcast. I listened to the first podcast back,
Hey.
and it's very interesting. It's
Oh,
just
it was a
Tom Segura was on it.
Tom Segura. Was Tom Segura like,
Right. Who's funny.
yeah, you dumbass?
Because they're friends. You see, they're so it's one of those where he's not gonna come after him. He's just listening. But to give Tom credit, he was kind of like, how did this happen? You know, like what was the protocols and stuff in place? So basically, to condense this podcast,
Not this one.
he's in a comedy event doing stand up. Basically, he's hanging out one night, I believe it was a Friday night, and was drinking and playing pool. So he was feeling kind of weird the next day, and then realized probably like 2 days later, oh no, this is happening. I know what this is, right? So now the thing is, he knows that it's COVID at that point, and
Right.
he immediately goes to his wife and says, I think you should stay away. I'm going to go to the other side of the house. Remember, Joe Rogan doesn't live in like an apartment or like a nice little 2-bedroom. He lives in a farm pretty much. You know, he lives in a compound to a certain point. You know what I'm trying to say? So when he says I'm going to the other side of the room, that's his way of saying I'm quarantining. But he doesn't
Right.
use the word quarantine, but he's like, I'm just kind of staying.
But he doesn't
Now,
want to get his wife
first
and
of all,
kids sick, which is actually pretty responsible.
which is
But
responsible.
what you would have done if you were done anyway if you had the flu? Stay away from me.
Right.
All right. Okay. So we can let's.
But,
get
but,
kudos-
but
let's
that
get
being said,
kudos for
if you
that.
right, but and I agree with you. But if you get but the way he's talked about this was kind of like, as long as you're healthy, you're fine, right? But if you have a cold, or even if you have the flu, you wouldn't quarantine necessarily. You know what I'm trying to say? You would just be like, hey, just stay away from me. I've had kids that have the flu, or I've had the flu where you still hang around the person. You don't sit down and watch the movie with them, but hey, you're okay. You know, I just don't disappear in a
Oh,
room.
but
You know what I'm trying to say?
also, folks, you, and your family did contract COVID, right?
We did.
Early-
I
in
know
early-
it, right.
in earlier
Very
versions
early on,
of
before COVID was COVID, where doctors were literally saying, I don't know what this is. Like, this is what doctors were telling me. I've never seen this before. And we were like,
Right.
okay, I just
Okay,
gotta
well,
sweat it out,
whatever.
I guess.
But
know what
you
I'm trying to say?
were
What can I
sick
do?
for about 2 weeks, right?
I would say a good 2.5 weeks.
And you were,
And-
but
and
you
then
were,
it
but
just-
you came out of it. You were a little tired. You haven't had any long-wind effects.
Not, I mean, you and the immediate aftermath, you just never felt right for a couple of weeks. Like you just always felt a little off. I would work out and just still feel.
now let's.
But in theory,
so in his experience, okay,
right,
who contracted what he believes might have been COVID, probably
Right.
because it was early on. This was like February, right?
yes.
This is before
Right.
the shit went down in March. This was like early February before
Right.
the shit went down. Before we were
This is
realizing
January into February.
right before we were realizing, because your wife works at an institution that has a lot of people that travel, more or less.
Right.
I'll tell you what kind of institution. Let's just say institution. So
That being said, I didn't know the idea of quarantining because there was no idea of it. It was just like you think it's a cold or a flu, and you just say, I watch TV over here and you watch TV over there.
Right.
But that being said, in Joe Rogan's situation, so
Yes.
he basically said, Tom Segura at one point was like, so when you knew you had it, what did you do? And he was like, and Rogan literally says, well, I had protocols already in place just in case.
what? But he doesn't.
basically,
Hold on a
he's all-
second. Wait a minute. Doesn't
about it.
exist. I'm gonna be fine.
Exactly.
Still runs away from his wife. And also has protocols in place to take care
Right.
of this flu. It's a flu,
Right.
right? He keeps saying, everybody keeps saying it's no big deal. It's a flu. What were the protocols that Joe Rogan had in place?
So basically, he already knew the medicine. He already knew the doctors he was going to call. He already had IV drips that he was pumping himself with vitamin C and vitamin
it's good
D.
to have money,
So-
right? It's good to have money.
That's what kills me. I'm not even judging.
But that
the
doesn't want to
fact
get
that he-
vaccinated. Fucking buys IV drip. You see what I'm saying? You see the fucking
Right.
bullshit?
See,
I had protocols
I'm
in
not
place. I had
fighting-
some IV drips. I have some doctors on call. The fuck out of here.
I'm not fighting him whether it's whether he believes it or not. It's that obviously he believes in it to the point where he has protocols or a plan in place
Right.
just in case this happens. So
Right.
obviously you think it's serious enough where you're creating a plan for yourself, because you don't create a plan for the cold, you don't create a plan for the flu, but you got IV drips that you're calling doctors immediately. He's spoken to doctors in other realms that dealt with what's the dewormer, the horse warmer, what's it called again?
This is called the Ivy or something. Horse.
Right. It's on my head, I'm forgetting it. But he spoke to doctors who have used, so he's trying to do research on it. He's not just putting it into his body thinking it works or it doesn't just because somebody said so. He's going to doctors who have used it. So he's doing a lot of research and a lot of information before he even gets COVID. You know what I'm trying to say? And that's the thing that gets it.
Ivermectin. So
that being said, and to add to that before you jump in, that being said, so Tom Segura was like, oh, so like, how long did you get any real symptoms? And he goes, I felt like crap. I felt like the chills and I felt bad for pretty much a day. And then after that, I felt better. And he says, I thank the medicine, to not specific medicine, but just in general, like this whole kind of plan, because he threw Z-Packs at it. He threw everything to boost his immune system at the same time. So there was obviously a concerted effort to have this plan, and maybe because of his health situation, because he is a health nut, and he does, take a lot of vitamins and that type of stuff. You add those things together, and maybe that's why, and maybe he didn't get a big viral load because we don't know how he contracted where, but you add these things together, and that's why it probably was as short and not as severe as somebody else. But we can't assume that. Like, you don't have Joe Rogan money. You don't have Joe Rogan resources where you could call doctors and be like, hey, remember when COVID first started, this is the other thing that killed me. When COVID first started in April and May and that type, he immediately got a nurse on staff to screen people coming in. He was doing rapid tests at the time when people couldn't even get tests, but he was doing rapid tests for people that were coming into his podcast.
Hold on a second. Let me just back this up. Don't believe it.
There's a lot to this.
Fucking get. Don't believe it exists. He was constantly saying that it's a cold, right? All these various fucking podcast heads kept saying it was a cold. It was a cold, it was a flu, it was no big deal. Okay.
Right.
But he was having rapid tests and temperature checks and shit like that in his he does his podcast from his house, right?
He has like in a little studio, so whoever
he lives in Arizona, right?
He was getting it done, right?
He lives in Arizona.
Now at the time he was in Los Angeles, but now he's in Texas, right?
He's in where?
He's in Texas now. He's in Austin.
He's in Texas. Fuck that guy. So, Austin. By the way, here's the thing I don't fucking understand. I'm moving to Texas. You know you're moving to Austin, which is probably the liberalest fucking town in Texas. Because if you moved anywhere else, they'd shoot you. And that's the thing. Like Dallas, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, which is as big as like two New York areas. Like New York, Newark, Jersey City, and another major city in the area. I don't know.
Right.
Let's say any city in Connecticut. If all those were together as
let's say Edgewater, and Jersey.
That would be bigger than that. If like
Weehawken. Let's say Weehawken.
Yeah, okay. Like all of Hoboken, Edgewater, and Weehawken, right? Jersey City, and then keep going another, 20 miles. That's how big the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is. It is huge. Right. It's two different cities,
right?
But it's fucking huge. Now that being said, you could live there, right? You get shot, but because the crime in that is very high. The Republicans never talk about crime in their areas, only about crime everywhere else in the blue states, because blue governors don't do shit. But the Metroplex, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex has bad crime. So of course he moved to fucking Austin. Fuck that guy. This is the thing I don't understand. I don't understand it. You talk about being brave and don't harsh my mellow and vaccines are bad, and yet you had prepared for it. Just get the fucking shot. What is the fucking problem? You know why? And it goes back to why. The why of it is, you were talking about something before about we were talking about people feeling as if they were being picked on, right? The why of it is is Joe Rogan doesn't like Donald Trump, and he probably didn't vote for Donald Trump, but he likes Donald Trump's fucking people. And the people who listen to Rogan are those people. They're dumb fucking assholes. And his audience, for him, is the key. At the end of the day, he ain't fucking Howard Stern. He's Joe Rogan. He's getting a lot of young, dumb people and a lot of white men and a lot of like stupid, people who like the fucking getting punched in the face on those fight shows, and,
right.
and watching people eat horse penis. These are the people that listen to Rogan. And the guy's actually not bad as a comedian, but I mean I can't stomach him anymore because he's so full of shit,
See, this is the thing. Whatever his audience is, you as a person who's reaching all these people, right? You have now a platform. So right. I'm not saying he should take, a vaccine stance or a non-vaccine stance. I'm just saying that the people who are listening to him need to understand that he's taking precautions with this. He has the money to take chance and get sick. You know what I'm trying to say? So whether you agree with the pro-vaccine or not, like, if you're jumping on his bandwagon, see Joe Rogan went through, like, he's not living the same life that everybody else is living. I don't have IV drips in the closet ready to go in case something happens. Not many people do. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like, you don't know how he got through the COVID situation. You don't know what exactly it was.
He got the president's
kitchen sink at this thing.
Yeah, he did the president's
through the kitchen sink at this.
Once
you don't get the kitchen sink unless you go to the doctor and you're in serious trouble. You know what I'm saying?
You know that Trump was very close to being put on a respirator. And what they did was they gave him that other treatment, that Rexall, whatever it was, treatment. Rexall is a pharmacy, guys. It's not called. But whatever that treatment was. And they injected him with a lot of it. And it was able to keep him alive. And when he got off, supposedly, when he ripped off his mask and he was like strongman president, he went and laid down after that. Because he was not well. And, it's a shame that, he got as far as he did. Yeah, I'm asking. Yeah, I said something about Donald Trump not being well. That's right, I did. All right, fuck you.
So to put the bow on it, Tom Segura kind of asked like what symptoms? So he goes into symptoms, and and Joe Rogan basically said, well, I threw the kitchen sink at this so early on. I don't think I didn't develop crazy symptoms like losing of like smell and that type of stuff. And then he says, the one advice I would give people is to be healthy. Like, if you're healthy, you have a better chance through this, which isn't a bad advice. There's a lot of truth to that. But even in that, even just saying that, Joe Rogan health is different from other people's health. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, this guy is home where he can work out all day. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, he's creating his schedule. He's creating his world. So even though he's right, people who are listening are making assumptions that kind of like, oh, he did it, I can do this too. There's a lot that goes into being Joe Rogan and being, healthy the way Joe Rogan, taking testosterone left and right like he does. Like, he's not doing things that everyday Americans do. Or, you know what I'm trying to say? And that being said, he also said drinking, and he also said drinking because he was drinking that night. That's, the night before he kind of he says that didn't help. He goes, he the way he believes is that if he wasn't drinking, he probably wouldn't have gotten any symptoms. But because his immune system was weak because of drinking, that whatever he had kind of, was accelerating.
I'm going to call bullshit on this, right? I'm going to call bullshit on this. I'm Joe Rogan having anything.
I'm just telling you what the podcast between Stop.
Now I think he's doing it. I think he's doing it to catch a wave. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he was sick at all now. I think
you don't think he was sick
because the first.
Well, he canceled a comedy. He canceled shows that he was doing with Dave Chappelle. So that was good money he was losing out to do this. Like, he was supposed to do a comedy thing with Chappelle, I believe that week.
I think that he canceled it for a various amount of reasons. One of them is that Dave Chappelle would have fucking skewered him and wrecked him on a lot of different things. I think Rogan did this on purpose, and I really believe that Rogan did this on purpose. Astroboy to ride the wave of the contention that's happening out there. I think we waited too long for mandates. I think this should have been a federal thing back when Trump was a president. I know he didn't want to because he likes to say contrasting things to create this like, it's us against them, and this is a bullshit. Like, anything that he says that about something that's basically fucking there, freedom, and anybody just follows along because they're dumb. His constituents, the people who follow Donald Trump, Republicans that are libertarians, those kind of people. Libertarians, not libertarian, the libertarian-sided Republicans politically, are dumb. They're dumb. I've never met one that make any sense. Their arguments are stupid. Their arguments fall back on this idea of freedom or, moral whatever, high ground bullshit, and I just don't get it. It's like my biggest thing was, hey, you can't let gay people get married. How's it going to affect you? That's what I always ask. I ask that immediately. How does a gay person getting married affect you? How is wearing a mask indoors affect you? Or other people, forget you, other people wearing a mask indoors. How does it affect you?
Right.
How does getting a vaccine affect, or mandated vaccine affect you? Well, I'm afraid my health issues, blah, blah, blah. No, it's bullshit. Health issues, the amount of people that would get sick from the vaccination itself is incredibly low. Nicki Minaj, and this is where
another one.
Nicki Minaj said, and I don't believe that this was said, that she said this, and then Fox News picked it up. Get the fuck out of here. She said that a person that her cousin knows. See how far this is going, right? A person that her cousin knows got the vaccine and their balls inflamed, and now they can't have kids. Who is this person? A person my cousin knows. Who the fuck is this person, dude? From where? It's like, fuck you. This makes no sense. A person my cousin knows got an injection, and now their balls are big. Their balls got inflamed, and they can't have kids. I don't know any of this. I've never heard any of these side effects whatsoever. Fox News runs with this. What's his name? That asshole.
Tucker is like,
Carlson
yep.
Runs with this yesterday, and it says, Nicki Minaj's cousin's testicles inflamed. As the bug at the bottom. But first of all, what the fuck? What the fuck?
And why would you bring that story up? Like, why would that? You don't just say, like, if you're Nicki Minaj, why are you talking about your friend's cousin? You don't just say, like, why is that a tweet in your life? You know what I'm trying to say? Because I think that's
her cousin. Because Nicki Minaj's point is, I'm sorry, I don't. People are dumb. They're dumb. It's all about he said, she said, this happened on Tuesday to this person, blah, blah, blah. Another family member who works in the travel industry that we know, lives in California, was vaccinated.
We would keep their names nameless just to protect the innocent.
Got vaccinated, right, and ended up with a breakthrough infection. And again, where do they work? They work in the travel industry. What does that mean? It means that they're dealing with a lot of people all the time, all day long, right?
Right.
Chances are that you're going to have a breakthrough infection because of the amount of COVID, maybe in a certain area, maybe on a certain day, maybe in a week. It's possible you get a breakthrough infection, but guess what's going to happen? Because you got vaccinated, for the most part, you'll be sick for a couple of days, you'll be fine. Right?
Will their balls be inflamed, though?
I'm hoping not. But that's the thing.
That's a new symptom, according to Nicki Minaj, apparently.
But if you've had it, I mean, Jason, you've had it, maybe, mostly,
yeah,
probably.
Right.
Did you get vaccinated?
I'm back. Yeah, I am.
But you didn't have to because that's not how it works, right? You could have just coasted on your antibodies, right?
But I did it based on doing research. I wasn't going to listen to Joe Rogan. I wasn't going to listen to Nicki Minaj. I'm not going to listen to YouTube videos. I'm doing it based on talking to my doctor, understanding what the pros and cons is, saying this is right for me and my family. You know what I'm trying to say? And that's the thing. If that's your argument, if you're coming to me and you're saying that, and your doctor's saying don't take it for this specific reason, I get it. You know what I'm trying to say? You and your doctor have made that decision based on your life and your situation.
I can tell you that
like nobody. You said, that's not.
I can tell you that these assholes aren't talking to their doctors.
But that's what I'm saying. You're not you're like our family. People that we know that give you this. talk about it, they're not going to their doctor and coming up with ideas or facts. They're just listening, sending you links
It's
on
their
YouTube
gut,
about,
and
hey, look what we saw
therefore,
yesterday.
yeah. Again, it comes down to that thing where freedom, right? And don't force me to do anything because I'm a child. And I hope you're listening to this. I hope that you're listening to this when you finally listen. When I finally put it up, because that's exactly what you are, a child. And anybody else, by the way, who doesn't want to get the vaccination is a child. There's a whole thing about America this and America that. Come on, man. Come on. Fucking get vaccinated. There's also this discussion about there's something that I've read a couple times now on the internet that I found really hilarious, which is conservatives are under the understanding. Conservatives are very violent. Are violent. There's going to be another march in Washington on the 18th, and
Right.
Washington D.C.'s police are like, fuck around and find out. You know what I'm saying? Like they're ready to fucking bust some heads. The Capitol Police are,
Right.
Washington D.C. police are. So I can only imagine what's going to happen to the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys and whoever else goes out there. I'm hoping there'll be blood in the streets. Me myself, I can't wait for this. And of course, the Punch and Nazi Brigade is going to be out there as well, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. Richard Spencer, by the way, I don't know if you heard about Richard Spencer.
Yes,
His wife divorced him. He's penniless and he can't
true?
find any of these legal battles. So hopefully he's going to jail.
Is that true?
Yeah. He said his wife left him. I used to be this guy who never wished ill on people. Like I just didn't wish ill on people. Like I didn't.
So, it's funny you say that because Tom Segura brought this up, and he said, Rogan, there's a lot of people who wish you would have got sicker because you've had your stances in the past. And he was kind of like, he goes, yeah, they're just haters. Like that's all it is. They're just haters. They feel like they have nothing else in life and they just want to hate and let them hate, let them do stuff. And so that's his response to you in that case.
I don't have time for Joe Rogan or to hate Joe Rogan. I just think he's a dope. What I was saying is I used to have this thing. Look, it's not even about Joe Rogan. It's about how people think about the argument is, and I know I'm kind of all over the place, so I apologize. And we'll get back it up in a minute to what we were talking about, if you can remind me, there's a fair. The argument is, is freedom of speech okay when you're advocating the death of people? When you're advocating the less humanizing of people? When you're saying that Latinos, blacks, anybody who doesn't look like me, people who don't believe in Christianity are less than I am. Do we support that? Do we support that hate speech? And I think the answer is no. I think the answer is we cannot support someone who's trying to say you need to be extinct because I don't like it. Your creed is of no value to me because it goes against what I believe things should be. That's ridiculous. Anybody who says that or does that is not looking at it from the point of view of what the Constitution's about. They're looking at it from the point of view of what their feelings are. And you know what? Feelings are feelings. You can have them all fucking day, but if your feelings are about exterminating me, I'm going to feel my foot go into your ass. Because that's not what this is about. And I think that the other thing that I read recently, which I thought was very interesting, where people basically said that, conservatives have the guns, so don't worry. Guns are easy to get in this country. The whole idea of the Second Amendment is that I can go down the corner and buy a gun. You know what I mean? In New Jersey, it might be a little harder unless it's a hunting rifle, but I can get a hunting rifle. And you know what? I'll be really good at shooting it soon.
Well, there's that law coming up. There's that law coming up. I think it's the Supreme Court is listening about that New York law, where they're trying to say that it should be an open carry state, and there's the pushback on the government side because they're trying to keep, let's say, shootings low. So I think it's a big Supreme Court. I think it's coming up very soon. So we should know probably that sometime in the summer.
Well, summer's over.
That law, but no, because usually they hear the arguments now and they don't give the ruling until 8 months later.
Right, they'll do some rulings, but I mean when they meet in they meet twice a year, right? They meet in October and they meet again.
Yes.
And then they do their rulings in the summer. So they meet in October,
right.
They meet this fall and the spring, and then do their rulings in the late winter and early late winter,
early
early
summer, like
spring.
June or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the stuff they're reading out, they're gonna do. So what I look, open carry states. What happens is that what's going to happen in Texas, and I think it's going to start happening in other places that let you do that, is just because you're white, you have a gun doesn't mean I'm brown. I don't have one. The only thing is that the cops worry about brown people with guns. They don't worry about white people with guns, which I never understood. They'll grab somebody in open carry state. In California, they used to be an open carry state until the Black Panther showed up at Sacramento with rifles, and then they fucking changed that right quick. Anybody can get a gun, man. Don't tell me that you want a civil war. I'll give you one.
This is the funny thing about the New York thing is that and tell me if I'm wrong. We both grew up in this area in some capacity for a long time now. I've never heard this argument about open carry, about having a gun ever come up in any conversation. Am I like, I'm trying to say? So it seems to be outside influences trying to make it an open carry, because I just never, I've have a lot of friends from different walks of life. It's
Upstate
never come up and what happened?
Upstate New York. That's the difference.
That's true. I don't know where this law originated from. It was upstate New York or an outside group, or isn't that
New York State is very big.
That is true. That is
if you've ever driven through it, it takes a while to get from one end to the other.
Right.
And there's a lot of and the population up in the upper part of the state is conservative. A lot
but
of
if I'm right, and I could be wrong, I think the law is based on the New York metro area. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, because the police here have a bigger, clamp on it. You know what I'm trying to say? I could be wrong. We can look into it, but they
will never. The Supreme Court will say whatever they want. New York will never let it happen. They will change the law to make sure you cannot open carry, or they will fix it so it's incredibly hard for you to get a gun that open carry. You know what I'm saying? You got to follow all. New York is really good about rules. You got to do all these things to be open carry in this state. Oh, you can't do that? Okay, fuck you. They'll go out of their way to like. Do you have any affiliations with any white supremacist organizations? Right off the bat, boom. Half the people that will get open carry licenses will be gone because they do that. They don't do that shit in Texas, where it's going to be the Wild West soon. By the way, I'm expecting that blood in the streets. I'm all for it. The consequences of these laws is what we need to see. How Republicans pass these laws and then the consequences of them is what we need to see. The abortion law in Texas, it's already hurting Republicans in other parts of the country that want to run for office because they're saying something similar to what happened in Texas. Women are younger voting women. They're more younger voting women than they are older voting women right now. Yeah. Younger voting women want to be able to have a control of their situations, and 6 weeks is not. You don't know whether or not you have a kid within 6 weeks. You won't know whether or not you're. That's the first. That's not even the first trimester. The first trimester is what is
the vigilante part of it. The vigilante part of it is really creepy. I mean, whether you're pro-life or not, like it's hard to debate it because people are entrenched on both sides, right? But it's
not hard to debate it though.
No. I'm just saying.
It's bullshit. I'm just saying, the debates are bullshit. It boils down to one thing: does it affect you? That's it. Not the babies are being killed. Not God. Not any of that. Does this law, the way this law, the abortion question, does it affect you?
Right. No, I agree. I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is people have dug in to their stances. You know what I'm trying to say when it comes to this, for whatever reasons that they feel is the reason why they're digging in. But to have this vigilante part of it that doesn't make any sense. Like, so you're an Uber guy and you drop somebody across the street at a pizzeria, but they happen to walk across the street to an abortion clinic. You can get, I'm just saying, like, there's so many. Who is the guy down the block watching me to determine where I go or can't go? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's weird. It's crazy.
What they'll do is evangelical churches and anti-abortion groups would camp out in front of those places and just videotape people going in and then send it to the police and put it up on the website. You know what I'm saying? That's what they would do.
I know, but it's crazy.
Hold on a second. The Supreme Court letting it go didn't make any sense to me because of two things. One, that's a fucking privacy issue.
Right.
That's a privacy issue.
That's what I'm saying. It's about privacy.
Fucking business what I do. So you're telling me that you're saying that you can throw me into jail because I'm walking into an abortion clinic? You have no idea what I'm gonna do in there. So you're videotaping me and putting me up on a thing where I can get then questioned by the police about what I'm doing. It's a privacy issue. Who the fuck are you? So then it comes back down to this idea of what it is that they're doing. What they're doing is they're taking away your rights to privacy. Number one thing before anything else, before abortion, all that other shit, they're taking away your rights to privacy. Your privacy is paramount. It's paramount. It's part of what one of the things that the Supreme that's part of the Constitution. Your right to be left the fuck alone. So what they're saying is, because you no longer have rights. You no longer have privacy rights in Texas when it comes to abortion or anything else involving women's reproductive rights. Any woman can walk into an abortion clinic and get a fucking pap smear.
No,
Because they're fucking clinics. It's the whole point of it. Get a fucking checkup. Automatically, you throw my thing. It's none of your business.
right.
So that to me, I find incredibly offensive. And fuck you, anybody else who believes that it isn't offensive and they have 6 weeks. Men do not understand how women's bodies work unless they fucking read a book, and they don't want to read because they're dumb. I'm sorry. You want to figure out how women's bodies work and how abortions work, and maybe find a clitoris? Read a fucking book. Ask a woman. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, it's like this stuff isn't that fucking hard. I'm not trying to be a dick about it to men in general, you know. But I know many women who have told me, most guys don't know how to find my fucking clitoris. They don't even know how my vagina works. It's really kind of sad. And I have to say, that's why I ask. I don't own that. I don't own that part of that mechanism. Please tell me how it works. But most men don't think they know what they're fucking doing. But the unfortunate thing is they don't. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what it's about. If I want to get a vasectomy. Why? Because I don't have to fucking worry about babies anymore. I just don't want to. I can have a baby until my 70s. You know, and I don't want kids. I have two. They're fine. We'll be great. Everybody's gonna be great. You know, I've been told that I've seen people who were talking about a vasectomy. Says, why don't you get your wife's tube tied? Why don't you have to worry about that? It's like, where is this fucking idea coming from? Where is this idea that it's everybody else's responsibility but yours?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where the fuck is that coming from? Like, it's certainly your responsibility to fucking beat up somebody's ass when it comes to abortion. Let them do whatever the fuck they want. It's none of your business. At the end of the day, it's none of your fucking business. It's like me. It's like you telling me, well, you can't ride a motorcycle because I think you're too old. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do anything? Get out of here. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
I was listening to the Bulwark about this. You know, I know you're not a big, you don't listen to it all the time, but I like to get a lot of different broad perspectives.
You're doing the right thing. I'm not. You're doing the right thing. I read shit up.
Right.
I go to the Nation.
I'm a podcast guy.
I go to all those fucking things and I listen and I read both Republican and Democratic and conservative and liberal points of view. I read them both because even though I'm a red diaper baby, kidding. Because that's a new term I learned recently. I was like, what? Even though I'm a liberal, there are some things that I'm conservative about. Right. And a lot of those things revolve around privacy. A lot of those things revolve around who can tell me what to do. A lot of things revolve around property. I have these issues that involve, hey, this is my shit. Get the fuck out of here. I'm 100% okay with putting up a fucking some kind of like trespassing restriction and killing you if you come on my property. You know why? Because too many people come on people's property to kill them. If we were living in it, we know, you don't know this, but I know people who's in their families in the past, after getting a vaccine, their boss them. Okay, after who've had people knock on their door and talk about lynching them and shit like that, who've burned crosses on their fucking in front of their houses. These are things.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but that's encroachment of property. And if you come on my property and erect a fucking flaming cross, I should be able to shoot you in the face because who the fuck are you to put a flaming cross on my property? Right. It's that kind of thing. You know.
But to add to that point, that's what they were talking about in the Bulwark. Is that if you have a certain stance whether that be left or right, if you have a certain stance on an issue like abortion, not all wins are good wins. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Not all things
True.
help your cause,
Right.
whether you pro-life or you believe that, you know, a woman has a choice.
Right.
There's certain wins that are bad wins, and Charlie Sykes and a couple of people that he's had feel that this is a bad win for the conservative movement, because, or people who believe in pro-choice, because it's showing you will go at any cost, and it doesn't matter what you do to get what you want. And when you do that, even when you pass laws that are appropriate, people stop listening, because you're not kind of like, you don't know what the incentive is behind it. You know what I'm trying to say? So they were hoping that people think about this, so that they focus more on protecting life if you're pro-life, you know, so that you can, if people, you know, you build a culture around it, not just making a law that makes it kind of creepy when people are you know, watching you. You know what I'm trying to say? So it was interesting to hear that perspective coming from, you know, conservatives. And Charlie Sykes is a guy who's fought for the pro-life movement. So in many respects, it was interesting to hear him say that, you know, that the battles, you know, even though you might win a battle, it sets you back. And he thinks this is one of those battles that will set a certain movement back, like you said, because of the demographics are changing, he's saying, but also because long term, like, you know, what are you willing to do to get what you want? And if you're just throwing everything at it, then it just becomes, you know, how do we believe your stances? That, you know, which is interesting hearing it from a conservative point of view in that sense.
Yes, not all wins are good wins, especially when it comes to this particular thing. I don't see conservatives going out of their way to saying, hey, have the baby, and here's the plan for when you have the baby. There is no plan, because it's personal responsibility. It becomes this thing against, you know, it becomes this thing against personal responsibility, against the idea that they don't want people to have sex unless they're in marriages. They want people to be so responsible about this thing that if you get pregnant, you got to have the baby. It's not your place to tell me what to do with my life. It's not your place to decide how I'm going to live my life. Well, what about giving it up for adoption? Where? Where do you give it up for adoption? What are you going to do? That baby is going to have a shitty life going from an adoption agency or adoption, an orphanage. Nobody picks these kids up because they usually aren't white, so already that's a problem. You know, and if people do have kids, they go directly to, like, there's a mother who's giving up her baby, blah blah blah, and there's a lot of procedures to do that. And some states don't want you to do that. They want to be able to place these kids, you know, and so there's a lot of problems with not having an unwanted child. The Republicans do not want to solve for this. They're Christians, but they don't want to solve for this. They should, you know, everything should be public. You know, the private sector. The private sector can only do so much.
Right.
Right. You know, so there's that. Sorry, I'm looking at something.
And why do we think, forgetting about this in general, just that idea of the private sector, you know, curing all ills, which, you know, why do we want the private sector and create, you know, kind of like I remember this, you know, this a friend of mine once mentioning about, was it Bezos or something, that wanted to, like, do something with schools. I forgot exactly the story, so I don't want to just, like, talk out of my ass here. But the idea was, but you know, he kind of mentioned it, like, maybe the private sector could do schools better than federal government, right? Just in passing. And I was like, yeah, but once that happens, you're losing control, because who's the private sector to make those determinations? You can't fire the private sector. You can't sue them in many respects. You can't, you know, go after them, you know, because they're private. They have a lot more leeway than if the government does it.
They can do whatever they want.
Somebody out of office. Yep. You know what I'm trying to say? So yes, the private sector can do a lot of good things, but we're not at that point where we can just trust the private sector. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's kind of like left up, like, oh, the private sector will take care of it. Like, what's the idea that they're just going to do everything perfectly? You know what I'm trying to say?
Because they don't. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, we have a lot of grift here, right? Um, we have a lot of grift, and the understanding. Look, I under. Buttigieg said the best thing. He said, to talk a late term abortion is not someone who's trying to get rid of a baby. It's someone who has no choice but to look at that option.
Yeah.
Women who are in the third trimester have gone past the pale and are now expecting this child. So when you say late term abortion, and you talk about grinding children up and shit, which is one of the things that Republicans love. It's like, no, these are women that have to choose between themselves and the baby. These are women that have to choose how are they going to have a baby that doesn't have a brain, right? How are they gonna have a baby? Because babies without brains are born. You know, they don't live very long, right? But they do go through that. They have enough pain to to whatever. This is a horrible time to make that choice. These are expectant mothers. You know, they're expecting a child. And, when we talk about late-term abortions, these are not abortions that people want to have. These are abortions that people need to figure out if they should have or not, and how it's going to affect them as they go through this. So, when we say abortion, what are we talking about? I think there's a lot of knee-jerk, and a lot of concern, a lot of anger, and a lot of fear, and a lot of shit that comes with it. But not a whole lot of discussion, and not a whole lot of understanding, and not a whole lot of figuring out how this person or that person or the other person are going to be affected by this. So I kind of feel like there's a lot of that too. The private sector, to your point, the private sector is doing so much.
To be fair, what you said is pretty much what Charlie Sykes was kind of saying on his show. So you can see that the issue is kind of closer than people sometimes think, because he was basically saying, we should create a culture of life. If a person has the baby, what is the process for that baby? What are we going to do with that baby moving forward? So, and he said, I think he ran some, political stuff when it came to this in Wisconsin, and he basically saw that as he was deeper and deeper in this, that it was more important to change minds by showing how precious life is, instead of just, going after, let's say, Roe versus Wade, by showing what, the benefits of keeping the child if we do A, B, and C to make sure the baby was healthy and safe. And, so that was his stand. His situation kind of evolved from, Roe versus Wade to, showing how precious life is and how do we keep that life precious throughout, once the baby's born, throughout adulthood. I'm trying to say, but, so not just a one-off of just saying the person can't have an abortion, so it's interesting that what you're saying is kind of like what he's saying. I'm trying to say it's not there's a lot of gray, but you're both coming to a same point, and he's been at it at a whole different level than you have been.
The thing of what he's saying about what you call of life would mean a very big change in how we think of things. We come from the United States, comes from a puritanical stock, where people were basically kicked out of England and came here. When people say, "Oh, I came over on the Mayflower," that means you were a jerk and you needed to fucking go. They didn't want you there. They didn't want you in England, and the Dutch didn't want you either. And if you were able to get money to come to the New World, they were like, "Get the fuck out," because they didn't like them. I'm not. I know that people act like it's a big deal. I'm twirling my mustache because it's in my mouth.
Yeah, mine's just growing out too. The start of the itch is getting
it's just it's in my mouth. I can't do anything about it. So the idea of what happens, what we come from, is a very big one. We're talking about people that were disliked because of their version of Christianity. It was fucking nuts, and it still kind of is. Were they rough and tumble stock? Yeah, well, they had to be because they had no choice. And more people came, and it kind of bolstered those pilgrims, or whatever. They're called something else now. Not pilgrims. They're called whatever. But they're not. But they're not. They weren't happy, good people. They were fucking religious extremists. And what ended up happening was enough other people came, Puritans. Enough other people, which right away is a little bit scary. You think of yourself as a Puritan, you're super pure. A lot of more people came and realized that no one should be kicked out of their home their home country for having a crazy ass religion. Let's make it so everybody can have a crazy ass religion here. You know, freedom of religion, which I think is makes fucking sense. But if you're gonna do freedom of religion, you also got to look at it from the point of view. People can say whatever they want. I can also mush you in the face, right? Because what you say has consequences.
People might not know what mush in the face is in certain areas. Mush. We used to do that all the time.
Take
When
your
we were
hand,
growing up.
mush a person's face, mush it. So, or I like to say, punch him in the mush, which is also kind of. But I mean, that's the
So
thing.
is that you're mushing and then you're throwing the punch at the same time? Is that how it
No,
goes?
you mush him and then you punch him. I know it's very violent, very violent. It's Astro Boy. Astro Boy's insane.
Astro Boy.
No shirt today. What happened?
No, it's no shirt. I just want the
I
regular
wear the
red.
Astro Boy shirt today because I just got it. Another one of my t-shirts from my collection from what's the name of that freaking movie?
$6 t-shirts.
No, this is not a $6 t-shirt. I wish it was.
I thought you just wanted to show off your muscle. That's why you wore it.
Oh yeah, you think so? Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. He has all these particular T-shirts. This is one of them, and I really fucking like it. So I got this one. It's cool. Don't actually have a Scott Pilgrim shirt. Gonna have to get one, and it's off of Netflix. I think tomorrow. Oh, it was off Netflix yesterday. So no more Scott Pilgrim on Netflix.
No.
You blew it if you didn't see it.
Speaking of movies, did you see the new trailer from
Matrix?
Matrix, yeah. What did you think about it?
All right, do you want to talk about movies?
Yeah, let's go into
time?
Yeah.
Did you have time?
We got a couple more minutes, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Shang-Chi. Did you see Shang-Chi?
No, I have not. I've heard it. I heard good things though.
All right, so let's do the spate of the Marvel shit that we usually do here. We do it real quick. Marvel What If is just, they did Marvel Zombies last week and it was really hard to watch. I don't know if you saw that. That was a mess. It was really great. The show is good. The show is interesting. Not every episode is fantastic, but this particular one, the Marvel Zombie episode, was pretty good. If you ever read the Marvel,
you can't hit a home run in every episode. Let's be honest. You just can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
But anthologies are tough because you can't hit a home run in every. There's also quality issue, narrative issues. It's all. If you haven't seen, or you haven't read the Marvel Zombie comics, prepare yourself for a crazy ass ride. But the Marvel Zombies in What If were pretty freaking spectacular and awesome. So that's one. Two, Shang-Chi was a lot of fun.
Right. I've heard good things. I've heard people enjoy it.
It's a lot of fun. I want to see it again. I had a good time watching it. It was one of those like like there's levels of movies and they're like ones that are just really fun. You can watch them over and over again, like Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Right.
Watch that shit over and over again. The last two Avenger movies, watch that shit over and over again. The Spider-Man movies, the new ones, a lot of fun. Watch them over and over again. Iron Man. Although I've watched Iron Man 1, 2, and 3 in succession now twice since I got Disney Plus, and I have to tell you, 3 is much better than I thought originally.
Really?
Yes.
Because it's always been the debate of like they didn't use the Mandarin right and that type of stuff. So
they explain
why do you
explain it in Shang-Chi, and it's fine.
Oh, is that true? Okay.
It's Shang-Chi. Like Shang-Chi starts here, right? Starts here, like oh, this is Marvel movie, and then there was like just fly. Halfway through the movie, it fires off in a completely different direction. And it's nuts. It's like Chinese mysticism.
Has it made money? What's been the money?
It made a lot of money. It's the second week it did. The week it came out, it went to #1 and made $200 million.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and then this week as well, it made another. It was #1 again, and it made a lot of money. So Disney did the right thing by doing that to Shang-Chi. I kind of feel like even more of a reason for what's her name in the Black Widow actress,
Scarlett Johansson,
to go after them hard, because they could have done this with Scarlett Johansson. They didn't.
Right.
Or they just wanted it out, and they heard her chance to make any money, because who cares? It's Scarlett Johansson. She's dead anyway.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of what happened. I mean, I hate to say it.
Right.
So that being said, I saw Ted Lasso has been fucking amazing. I know you haven't seen it yet. But holy shit! Three more episodes for Ted Lasso, guys. This weekend and next weekend. Last weekend was the 8th episode, and it was crazy. Tomorrow, the next episode is the 9th episode, and Roy Kent is still my favorite character of all time. He's awesome. He's awesome. Or as he like to say, fuck. Been practicing that all week. Oi, Phoebe.
I did see the new Cinderella movie that they came up with that was on.
Yeah, Cinderella. Did you see that? Shit. No.
Yeah. See, when it comes to movies now, because I have kids, my barometer has changed. Do the kids want to see the movie a second time? That's how I determine if it's good or not. Because if the kids like a movie, it'll be on a constant rotation and it won't stop for weeks.
What happened with Cinderella? They watched it. They got up.
This one did not end. This one did not end. Within an hour or so, the kid was on. It was like looking at the iPad.
I wasn't even paying attention.
So that's where I come in with that story. So that's my barometer. That's my Rotten Tomatoes version.
But they didn't like Luca. Did they like Luca?
Yeah, but that didn't really have much rotation either. That was only once or twice. That was a weekend rotation.
Luca is a beautiful movie.
I enjoyed it, but it was only a weekend rotation.
I did not watch all of it because I fell asleep. But it's a beautiful looking movie. I'm gonna try again. It's not for me. I kind of feel like Luca itself, the movie itself, is not for me. I'm not getting those feelings.
Yeah, it doesn't really give off vibes like that, right?
Yeah, it ain't like it's not for me. But that being said,
because the story, even though it's an interesting story, it's very simple. If you know what I mean. There's not many dynamics. The plot just kind of. You could see the plot in Luca just going a certain direction. You know where it's going. You know what I'm trying to say? There's no craziness. There's no interesting little loophole. They
do eat spaghetti with their hands.
Right. But like you knew the daughter in that movie was gonna help out. You know what I'm saying? Like everything was very basic and generic, and
there was no
plot points were very simple.
There was no road trip in this one.
Right.
I'm not a super big fan of Pixar lately.
Yeah.
Because they're just not. I don't think they're really risking enough.
Well, they don't have to anymore. They've hit the market and they've dominated. So you just turn out what you need to turn out.
They don't dominate it because in Despicable Me and the fucking Minions and fucking
but
and DreamWorks movies and Illumination and DreamWorks kind of like they got it. You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying.
And you got to be able to capture that idea and making things. And I don't look. I know that we're in a place now where they're not making movies about white people so much anymore, at least in animated things, and unless the fish is white. But they are getting regional, which I approve of. Cultures are all around the world and getting to understand what these things are or whatever.
Well, that's because of the streaming service. They're trying to reach a lot of different audiences, and you have to create content so those audiences can jump on it. You know what I'm trying to say?
And that's fine. But there is this kind of like this feel. By the way, Ed Asner died, folks. I don't know if you know Ed Asner. He's the voice of everything. He voiced everything, everywhere, forever. He was on Freakazoid forever. He was the voice of the character in Up, the old guy in Up.
Right.
He was in one of the Batman TV shows for a long time. So
he's had a good career. Man. He was a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Not only Mary Tyler Moore, he won a whole lot of Emmys. He was one of those grandpappies in Cobra Kai, and he's no longer in Cobra Kai because he's dead. Right. So I'm glad. I mean, guys like one of those guys whose voice was like honey over gravel, man. It's just really awesome. But he's gone to the great reward.
Unfortunately,
and I think we made everyone bleed enough. Matrix Resurrections.
Right.
Go.
The trailer, it got me interested, but I'm not like I gotta see this yet. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm glad that it's on. This is my point. I'm glad it's on HBO Max because from what I saw, I'd rather see it at home than go to the movies and see it. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's kind of like what I've gotten so far. Now it couldn't just be in that I'm trying to. It could be, but that could be that I'm trying to dissect the story, trying to see how it all fits in compared to for the other three, because I want to see what they're trying to do. You know what I'm trying to say? So maybe I just didn't sit there and enjoy it, but so far that's the feel. What about you?
What I'm doing right now is how I felt after I saw it.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the Wachowskis. I like Lana or Dama or whatever her name is now.
Yeah.
Their name as they went through the transition. I'm actually fine with it. I don't know. I don't. There isn't, like you said, there isn't enough to see. There isn't enough to know. So
Right. Right.
we'll see. We'll see what happens, and I hope it's worth my time. I was gonna see Suicide Squad in the theater. I didn't get around to it. Too late now. I was gonna go see. I want to see these movies in the theater. Dune is coming into my bedroom or whatever. I want to see it in the theater.
Oh, it's on HBO. It's gonna come on HBO Max, dude.
Yeah,
it's not gonna come.
Oh, interesting. And this weekend, the weekend of October 8th. All right, we're gonna do a quick fall movie guide.
Because I think HBO at this point is just trying to pump that streaming service so much that they're just gonna put everything on it that they can. You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, it'll eventually come to stop, but at this point, they're gonna try to hook you.
23 most anticipated movies of fall 2021. We're starting with Cinderella. Really? No.
We know the route. We know what that turned out to be.
Yeah. What is this? Cinderella. Shang-Chi. The Card Counter, which I did see, and it was actually pretty awesome. I really liked that movie. Blue Bayou, which is another indie. The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which is not an indie, but I'm not running to see that movie. That comes out this weekend. Dear Evan Hansen comes out next weekend. You know what that is?
Yeah, that's the. I've heard. I think I saw a review and they didn't think it was that good. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too for or against it. Doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Many Saints of Newark, the Sopranos prequel, that comes out October 1st.
People are loving the trailer to that.
Yeah. The Harder They Fall is direct from Netflix. That comes out October 22nd in theaters.
Is that an HBO Max, the Sopranos movie?
Yes. That's also coming out on HBO Max.
Really? Interesting.
Yes.
They're throwing everything out there.
No Time to Die comes out October 8th. I am going to be in the theater to watch the new Bond movie that I've been waiting 2 fucking years to see. I can't wait to see this movie.
See, now think about it.
The trailer for this movie is crazy.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Compare that trailer to the major trailer. It's like this one makes you want to go to the theater. You know what I'm saying?
You want to get the 2 years of. It's been 2 years of trailers, though, right?
I understand.
The Last Duel is a Ridley Scott movie with Matt Damon and Adam Driver. If you've seen the trailer for this movie, it looks freaking awesome. Yeah. Am I going to run to the theater to see it? No. But looks awesome. Dune, October 22nd.
Halloween week almost. Yeah.
That's it. The Last Night in Soho, October 29th. I'm going to see that movie in the theater. If you haven't seen the trailer,
in a Soho theater.
In a theater. I don't care where it is. Eternals, November 5th. I'm going to see that movie in the theater. Spencer. Nope.
Spencer for Hire?
No, Spencer is Diana Spencer.
No, I know.
Ghostbusters Afterlife, November 11th. Yes. Red Notice is the Netflix movie. I haven't seen the trailer for that, but I hear it's great. The Power of the Dog is a Jane Champion movie. It's going to be on Netflix. I don't need to go anywhere. King Richards is also going to be on HBO. It's the story of the dad of the Williams sisters.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Okay, there's a movie called Tick Tick Boom. That's a musical by Lin-Manuel, and then Top Gun Maverick, another movie that we're waiting 2 years.
That's right. See. It's been pushed back a lot, yeah.
That's happening the week before Thanksgiving. Encanto happens the week of Thanksgiving. It's a movie about everybody who has magical power except for one girl who doesn't.
Yeah, I like the premise of that. I might check that out in the theaters as a kid.
And House of Gucci. What they don't talk about here, there's another film that's coming out Christmas, and I don't know what it is. That one time maybe
I trip a dog there, yeah.
The most anticipated movies of Rotten Tomatoes has a list. That's 2000.
You,
The 88 most
you,
anticipated movie of soon in theater. Okay.
so it sounds like you are into the movie world now. Like you want to go to the theaters. You don't want to be staying at home and eat the Jiffy Pop and watch it at your
Oh
couch.
no,
You
I
want the
forgot.
experience at this
Yeah,
point.
I liked the movie experience. Venom: Let There Be Carnage. I knew there was something else. Halloween
Right.
Kills on October 15th. You know, The French Dispatch. If you don't know what that is, that's happening on the 22nd. That's the Wes Anderson movie. Um, Eternals. Finch. Tom Hanks plays an Apple TV. That's an Apple TV movie. Julia about it's a documentary about Julia
Child.
Child, but it's a documentary on HBO Max. So Power of the Dog, Don't Look Up. So Massachusetts parts of the Two Astronomers. You know, DiCaprio. West Side Story. That's happening on. Oh yeah, West Side Story and Spider-Man: No Way Home, but they weren't important.
That's right.
Fuck.
Right. Well, they are they consider winter movies because it's Christmas? Maybe that's
I
why
don't
they're thinking.
know.
I don't
And then
know.
of course, Matrix Revolution comes out Christmas week.
Right.
Resurrections comes out Christmas week.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to theater. Yeah, I'm getting another fucking my booster shot. Yeah, I'm going to see the movies in the theater because that's where movies are supposed to be seen. You want to see them in
Right. No, I hear you.
whatever later? Fine.
Right.
That's great. You got to see them in the theater. There's a couple of things that I know you have to go. There's a couple of things that I thought we would talk about, but I can't seem to make. I think I'm locked out of your thing because my Apple situation is not good. Hold on one
Well, the
second.
new iPhone came out today. They talked about it
Yeah, I didn't even see any of that on the new iPhone.
for 2 hours. It was. I mean, one thing that's pretty cool on the phone that they done when it comes to like the video version is that it does its own rack focus, which I think could be really ground changing for like, because there was times where I recording something and like I can't do this quick enough because of the phone, but apparently there's its own rack focus where it can do it automatically just by the shift in the camera, which is very interesting because it makes movies even more easier. It makes it even easier to make movies at this point.
Um, the gala. You talk about the gala,
Oh, the Met Gala,
the Met Gala,
right?
which was ran by our friend, our rapper buddy, who took it over, who was wearing a body armor suit, and then also AOC, right? AOC was
What are
wearing
you
a
talking about
dress.
my rant with that?
Your point was well taken. Except here's some things about that. AOC did not pay for her dress, and she was invited by the people who made the dress to wear it. And she said she would only wear it if it
I
had
understand.
the thing on it. So, it's not. These are
I,
invitations. The Met Gala is run by designers, big houses like Gucci and Versace and all those
yeah.
guys get together and they do this and they do this red carpet because they want people to see their shit, and they have people like uh,
Right.
Billie Eilish and Yara Shadadi and dresses and outfits and stuff because they want people to see it. So having that focus on Nicki Minaj, what have you, going to the Met Gala, and little whatever his name is, Little Nas X, was there as well, who I thought did some awesome shit. He was wearing this like full length fucking cape, this like thing, this down cover, and then he took it off and he had a fucking robot suit underneath and like his body armor underneath, and he took that off and he had this like skin tight suit. And I think that Gucci or Versace, it was Versace's entire idea for this was to express the alternate culture and express this thing, and I think it's fine. Little Nas X can be as gay as he wants. You know why? Because I can turn that shit off. I can go do something else. Or what about my children? If they like it, you should have a conversation.
And I
Not that I'm saying it's a
and I
negative or
agree, but
positive
this is the
conversation,
thing.
just a conversation to figure out what's going on. What was that?
We were going back and forth. If people don't know, we were going back and forth on text about it, just because I mentioned that AOC was there, and my thing about it was, when it comes to these type of events, I believe that we should not have politicians should be worried about politics. They should be worried about how to make the life better for people, how to do things to help people in need, how to move the country forward. I don't want them at a Met Gala. I don't mind Little Nas X. I don't mind Jay-Z, Beyonce, or Tom Cruise. I get it why they're there, right? This is part of the persona, but I don't believe that politicians should be looked at in that same light. They should be in a different category because their roles and their job is totally different than making the next Mission Impossible movie. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's just what
I hear you. No publicity is bad publicity.
Right. I get it.
And I think that's what she's talking about. She wants. Here's the thing about AOC. She wants it. She wants the Republicans to come after her because she's smarter than they are. So
I get it.
And it's fine. It's fine. It's. I'm not disagreeing with your point. It's you have a fine point. It makes sense. It's a good one, and people should think about it that way. But we also have to think about how we live in a culture that is incredibly, crazy, and people just don't think about it. All right, so listen. We didn't have a song of the week. We gotta go. We didn't have a song of the week. What's the song of the week? We did
Astro Boy theme song. What's the Astro Boy theme song?
Astro Boy's theme song is a crazy ass Astro Boy theme song. Because I won't get attacked for it. I'll look for it. Astro Boy theme. Astro Boy is really neat. Astro Boy, he tastes like meat. He's not.
Welcome to the Disney Bundle.
Oh my God!
Plus, Hulu,
No.
ESPN Plus.
Yeah, like the little fake, little advertising, folks. Because Disney's gonna pick us up.
That's it. Astro Boy.
There you go, Astro Boy. Bold adventure you face. Win the race.
This is definitely how we end the show.
Very soon you'll land on the moon.
Yes, he will.
The moon.
Boy past the star.
Okay, we get it. All right, so that's it. Astro Boy's
Song of the week, Astro Boy theme song.
Astro Boy's theme song.
Because why not?
I would rather listen to it in Japanese, but I guess you have to listen to it in the English version. Because the English version, they croon in Japanese like. Anyway, that's not Japanese. That's me being an idiot. All right, guys. Thank you. Till next week.
See you
We
later.
didn't talk about anything. We didn't talk about the storm. We didn't talk about.
We just let our feelings out. We just threw it out.
Just threw it out about abortion. Abortion. COVID.
Joe Rogan, what are you doing?
All right, folks. Thank you very much. Until next time.
Enjoy.